Go, Jacko.
So that's the Sunday morning walk with the dog done. It's a pretty wet weekend here in Perth, so we got a fair bit done on the Monaro yesterday, but might head on into the shop and sort of do a morning's work and see how the enthusiasm holds up. Do try and have Sunday afternoons fairly relaxed, ready for a busy Monday, but yeah, we'll cruise in the workshop now and see where we got to yesterday and what we're going to get up to today. So just rolled into work and just sort of cruising past the drop tank that I made for the C10 last week. That's sitting there getting ready to go out to powder coat. So we'll just crank up some lights. And check out where we sort of got up to yesterday. C10 hiding under cover there. Well, some light on the subject, that's a bit better. So yesterday we got quite a bit done on the Monaro. My wife Sue had already bare metaled the roof for me, and sort of doing that we discovered some more rust, which, you know, is just going to keep happening on a car like this. So got that all repaired up after hours last week, and wanted to get the roof into epoxy, so we didn't get any rust issues sort of popping up through there. So young Tyler come in, give me a hand yesterday, and he pulled all the bumper off and tail lights off, and did some sanding for me, and, you know, a few little bits and pieces. So we'll spin the camera around and have a look at what we uncovered yesterday. So coming down this section here that hides behind a chrome moulding, a few little pits and stuff like that going on there, and a few little holes. So got them spotted up yesterday. I'm just wrestling with the decision whether I cut that little strip out and replace that whole strip. Well, not the whole strip, probably to that hole about there, because it was pretty thin up through here. I got it spotted out and ground down, and I'm sure it will be fine, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to think about that one. But I knew there was some pitting through here, and they turned into holes the more we sanded, so open that right up and have a good look at that. You can already see some filler starting to break through here, and there was some really poor existing repairs in this area. So wanted to get rid of all of those. So today I'm probably going to bare metal the rest of that top half of that quarter panel. I'm not running the GDS spoiler, as I'm doing a build representing the car that I had when I was young, which we didn't run the spoiler on that. So I'm going to weld up these holes here today. They'd put an aerial in the quarter, that's got to be welded up too. Sand this down, see what this filler hiding here is, and go from there. But before I crank up the sander and everything, we'll just have a bit of a look at the Chevy truck. I started mocking up some fuel tanks there the other day. So they'll hold about 180 litres of diesel each, which will be good on the long trips. Got the sleeper cab just sitting on the back at the moment so I could get the spacing for the fuel tanks right. And I've got some aluminium there to make the corners up now. Cab and guards and everything are still as were. They were all sort of done, ready for a final block out and paint. But the biggest piece that has really been a thorn in our side is that bonnet. So finally, well, when I say we, I actually shouldn't say we, because Brendan took that over and he's done an amazing job of that, turning that into something and getting that to fit and have good consistent body lines, because the fit on that bonnet was absolute garbage. And I know that's, but when we've gone this far and everybody's trying to do, you know, the best job on it they can, financially it was pretty hard to keep going with all the hours in it. But I also wanted to give Brendan the best opportunity, as well as myself, to have the best looking product at the end, so we can both sort of stand by it and be really proud of what we've built. and sometimes you just got to grit your teeth and get to the end. So anyway, I'm going to go and crank the compressor up, get some sanding done. We'll throw her on some time lapse and go from there. So let's get into it. Well, I don't know if you could see that while I was sanding that down, but there was a fair bit of filler in this right-hand rear quarter. Had some bad repairs up the front, like I was saying about, but must have had a bit of a dent or something going on. It's not bad. There's a few highs and lows in it, but I reckon a lot of that was actually them filling up to where they'd done their crap repair. And in the process losing that nice body line in the back. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get that back right. And like I've always said, you know, I'm not a panel beater. Yeah, I'm a fabricator and an engine builder. So I'll just do the best I can with it and go from there. But in the process of sanding that down, that little strip I was talking about in that rear A-pillar, I'm going to cut that out. I'm not happy with it. I reckon it's too thin. I reckon once we cut it out, we'll probably see that it's been affected. So let's have a look at that now. All right, so I'm absolutely glad that I dug that out, and I'll just spin the camera around and sort of show you. I've just cleaned it up a bit. So that section in that rear pillar, I spotted up a few holes in that yesterday, and as I was doing it, I was thinking, you know, come on, like, lift your game. If it's that pitted, it's got to be bad on the back side. So you can see where those little spots had come through, but I mean, that piece is knackered. So that's out of there now. Our rust converter, I mean, you won't be able to see down in there, but I went absolutely mental with rust converter on the inside of this and copper spray when I had that whole back corner out there, and it had sort of got down in there and done its thing, but I was able to get a die grinder in there now and sort of bare metal all that. So we'll fill that full of copper spray now, and we'll make a little patch panel, and then we'll come back and weld up that aerial hole where the spoiler used to bolt here. There's a big high spot there, so we'll dolly that down. Weld up these back spoiler holes, and then through the middle here I might put some metal dye on that and then run a block over it and just sort of see what I can see after that. There's no big oil cans or anything in it, so yeah, I just, maybe it had a big dent here, and because this is the worst of it, maybe it had a dent there and they did a pretty decent job of pulling it out. But yeah, not real sure. I should have kept a video of the pieces that we cut out of here. They were pretty funny. Anyway, time to make a patch piece. Well, I actually just found that piece that we cut out yesterday. So check out the quality of the previous repairs. Spot welded in pieces of steel over the top of the original, nothing cut out. Of course, all rusting all over the back. And yeah, we'll call it good. Maybe he's been the gasoline paint and panel. So we absolutely filled that void and everything behind it with copper spray, plus the back side of our repair piece. We've just got a new little piece tacked in there. That piece is actually a little bit thicker than the panel steel, mainly because I don't ever want to see it rust there again. So we might as well make it as hard as possible for it to come back. Plus a little bit thicker on that edge there allows me to put a bit of heat there, get some good penetration, so that when I lineage that down that radius, I've still got some weld there and don't have to worry about it cracking. So, you know, whether that's right or wrong, like I said, I'm not a trained panel beater at all, but I am a fabricator, and that's the way I'm going to do it as a fabricator, nice and strong. Well, the fun just keeps coming. So just dug a little bit deeper into that wheel arch, went sort of a little bit further left and right. Someone's been here before and spotted up a couple of things which are still hanging in there, but definitely want to get this all treated and before anything sort of gets welded in there. So we'll have a bit of a look at the section we just booger welded into that back pillar. It's really hard for me, you know, when I'm building race cars, high quality TIG welds, stuff like that, to turn around and do these booger welds, doing rust repairs, just shits me to tears. But that's the way it is to keep it nice and cold. Let's have a look. So that's our section there, booger welded in, ready to grind down and metal finish, make all nice. I've just opened up that wheel arch because I kind of had a feeling it was going to go further than just sort of straight down where it had ran down through that rusted out area in the roof. So we'll spot those little holes up now, grind them down, and then get some rust converter all brushed in there and probably sprayed down in there as well. We'll get it everywhere if we can, and once that's done its thing, then we'll copper spray it all before we repair it. So I think what we'll do now is spot those up there, grind them down, move back, fix that hole there, fix these holes around here, and go from there. So I've just absolutely filled that full of rust converter. It's in a pressure pack, pump up bloody container, so I've just absolutely poured that down that dog leg, up into that quarter, just everywhere. It's nice and clean that way, and it looks to be pretty nice and clean that way as well. So I think I've opened it up far enough. So I'm going to let that chew in now while we go and do some other work in the back of the quarter. Right, let's weld them up. So a couple of those holes are probably a little bit on the large side for spotting up, and to be honest, if the quarter was absolutely perfect, probably would have made the holes bigger and made up a couple of little repair pieces. But they're going to metal finish down that fine, and pretty much going to have to wipe that whole quarter once it's finished anyway. There won't be a lot of filler left in it by the time it's all blocked out, but it's just going to be the way it is. Just going to make up a little masking tape template now to sort this aerial hole out and cut a repair, and I probably should TIG weld that in, but I'm not going to. It'll be megged. So we've got our little disc cut out there and just sitting in there with a couple of magnets. So we'll get that one welded in now, do a little bit of hammer and dolly over the top of it, metal finish it, and see how it comes out. I could TIG weld that so it's a little bit softer, but the MIG's right here. I've got a fairly huge mess and tangle going on at the moment, and for a Sunday, keeping up the enthusiasm and just getting it done, I reckon we'll go alright. So just finished whizzing that repair down with a roll lock. So now we'll give it a sand down with some 80 grit, and that'll pretty much finish that one off. So that's pretty cool. So that's our hole welded up in the top of the quarter. We've got our spoiler holes deleted in the quarter, and yeah, really happy with that. So just finishing up for the day now, and I've just got some rust converter on that quarter panel that's been sanded with 80 grit to bare metal. Pretty happy to see there's no rust, no filler, and everything looks really good there. So that rust converter just puts an etch on that panel until I've got a chance to keep going with those rust repairs after hours, and do a big heap of work on it next weekend. But one other thing I didn't think of too is that the fact that that basically turns that steel black. I can see a couple little waves in that quarter now, and I'm going to put a long block on that with some 80 grit. When it comes time to cleaning that off, I sand it all with 80 grit anyway, and Scotch Brite it all down with thinners, and then wax and grease remover before it gets epoxied. But it'll just give us a bit of a chance. We might be able to pick up some highs and lows and tidy that up a little bit before we even put it into epoxy, but see what happens. 10:30, we got here probably a bit after 8, so you know, 2.5 hours rust repair, open up that quarter, rust treat it, get that all sealed up, weld up those other holes. So probably do another hour or so and then clean up my mess, and that'll do for a Sunday. But you know, thanks for watching. This video is just going to be pieced together out of bits and pieces through the last few weeks. Tried to do a video last week, but files got corrupted. It all just, I don't know, just turned to crap. So yeah, thanks for coming back. I'll try and lift my game and do a little bit more. But what I didn't think of when I sort of started doing videos is that most of my customer stuff is like really involved. You know, I'm still predominantly a fairly high-end fabricator, motorsport fabricator, which is really time consuming, pretty damn technical as well. So I just don't really have the time, and I don't think it's fair on customers, you know, dicking around with a video camera. They probably do like to see some of the stuff done and in a bit more detail, but you know, during the day is pretty well, you know, all consumed by trying to get the customer work done. So most of the video stuff is, you know, my own stuff, me learning as a panel beater, you know, doing some jobs that I haven't done a lot of in the past. Although that said, probably in the last 3 years I have done quite a bit of it, and even the business side of it is sort of, you know, a lot of it's heading a bit more that way, which, you know, is fine. It doesn't matter what it is, we'll do it. But, you know, follow along as the spray booth gets built, as the black truck or the Chevy truck gets painted. I'll be doing that with the help of Brendan. You know, no doubt going to make some stuff ups and all the rest of it. But the same with when I started building race cars. I never took money from anybody to do anything until I built it, raced it, you know, had success with it. You know, we're doing that a long time before we took anyone's money for working on race cars. Well, it's going to be no different to this. Obviously building engines and all that, chassis work, well, that stuff I've been doing for years. But when it comes to paint and body, I really don't have big intentions of doing that for customers. It's mostly just an extension of my own builds. But, you know, if the right customer comes along and we think we can achieve something together, well, you never say never. But we've got to well and truly prove that we can get to an exceptional standard on our own stuff first. So yeah, anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hope you enjoy this pieced together video. Sorry it's going to be all over the joint with still pictures and all the rest of it, but it's been too long, so I wanted to bring you up to speed. And for those waiting to get through the workshop, and you know, I know there's quite a few of you, hang in there. I am getting through it, and we'll just keep plugging away. Take it easy.